today we're going to jump into Guilty Gear Strive. This is the beginner tutorial, and just because it's beginner doesn't mean there's not anything you can learn, because it's always best to start from the bottom and climb all the way up. That's my perspective on it. It's always worked out for me. I'm no pro player, but just stick around, because you might learn some stuff. We're going to go ahead and jump into the first part of the tutorial, and the first part will be a slight bit of terminology. I need to explain how I'm going to label the buttons in the lettering system, so let's start with that. In Guilty Gear Strive, we use something called Numpad Notation, which is based off of a keyboard's number pad on the far right side, or left if you have one of the weird pairs. Anyways, basically the way it works is your joystick would be in the middle. So 5 is the joystick's not being moved, it's not being touched at all, which will also be represented by this joystick menu that you see down in the bottom corner. It might be on the entire screen, I don't know how I'm going to edit this. Each direction is based off a number. So forward would be 6 if you're on the left side. 4 would be backwards, 2 would be down, and 8 would be up. Then you have things like 3 being the bottom right corner, 1 being the bottom left corner, and so on. So when someone says something along the lines of 5P, they mean the P button when the stick isn't being moved. That is 5P. It'll make more sense as you start to study it a bit more. It's not the easiest thing to pick up at first, but it's a lot more simple than it sounds, and with the displays I'm putting on screen, hopefully you understand it. If you don't, you can ask me questions down below. I will break it down more as we go along, but I just need you to understand the basis of this system. The second part of Numpad Notation comes in with the lettering system. Earlier I mentioned 5P, which I said was the P button when the joystick isn't being moved at all. We use this lettering system because it's a bit easier to translate between different consoles and controllers and all that, and it just makes it overall easier to share combos and tech in the game. So, I'll let you know as far as PlayStation 5 what button corresponds to what letter, and then you can just kind of translate it from there on your own. The square button will correspond to the letter P, which is punch in this game. Triangle will correspond to S, which is slash. X will correspond to K, which is kick. And circle will correspond to HS, which is heavy slash. Lastly, R1 will correspond to D, which is dust. To break down Numpad Notation just a tiny bit further, something along the lines of forward slash would be translated to 6S because you are holding forward and you are pushing S or triangle in terms of PlayStation. The most important thing to learn in almost any fighting game is how to move. Movement is a vital part of the game's mechanics, its systems, and overall just gameplay style. If you aren't able to move, then you'll just be standing still doing random attacks, which doesn't do you a whole lot of justice. So we're going to start with that. It's very basic, very simple. Holding forward, or 6, will move you forward if you're on the left side of the screen. Holding 4, or backwards, will move you backwards. Holding down, or 2, will make you crouch. And 8, or up, will make you jump. As an extension of jumping, you can also jump forward or backwards, depending on if you hold 9 or 7 on your joystick or D-pad. Let's say the gap between you and your opponent is pretty wide as far as distance on the screen. You're not limited to just walking to close that distance between them. You also have the option of something we call dashing. Dashing / running is used whenever you double tap the direction you want to go in. You can forward and back dash. Double tapping 6 will make you move forward and run if you hold it. Double tapping 4 or back will make you jump backwards. There's also the option of what we call an air dash, which is a little more advanced, but we're still going to show it to you anyways. Don't worry too much about this right now. If you jump and double tap forward or 6, you can get an air dash. Same for if you jump and double tap 4, you can get a back dash. There's a lot of different uses for dashing in each individual game. The main thing to note is that forward dashing can close a gap between you and your opponent a lot faster than walking could, and back dashing can create a gap which might be useful for dodging attacks or other uses. We will get into said other uses in other tutorials as we move towards more advanced tech. Step 2 of this tutorial is to learn how to attack. All 4 of your face buttons on your controller function as different attacks and different buttons. The punch, kick, slash, and heavy slash I mentioned earlier. Dust is also an attack that can be charged up if you hold the button. The last attack option in Guilty Gear is the throw. The throw can be done by inputting 6D or 4D for a forward throw or back throw. Forward throw and back throw function differently. As you can see on screen, the back throw will move the opponent behind you and the forward throw keeps them in front of you. There are a lot of different uses for these two different throws, and there are also air versions of it, but those are versions we will cover in the next tutorial. There's another version of your basic attacks called command normals. Command normals just mean that you'll input a direction with your button to get a variation of the move you were doing before. For example, this is 5S. However, if I hold forward while doing it and do 6S, I'll get this instead. That's a command normal. The universal command normal in this game is 6P, which can be done by inputting forward and the punch button. You can find more info on your character's command normals by opening up the pause menu and going down to the command list, and it'll be the first set of moves up here. Command normals are listed right here with videos that you should watch, and they explain what each command normal does. The next part of learning how to attack is how to chain a combo. Combos are performed by inputting one button after another to create a sequence of attacks that have no separation in between them. Combos are mostly done to perform larger damaging moves on your opponent and create a greater advantage whenever you finish your combo. A simple combo most characters can perform is 5S, 5S. It's a 2-hit combo that knocks the opponent back and does a little bit more damage than just doing 5S by itself. Combo is inputted by just pushing the button right after you land the first attack. You can mash it to do this, mashing being a term where you hit the buttons as fast as possible. However, you don't have to, and it's best to not pick up that habit. Just 5S, 5S. You'll notice that if you wait too long to do it, the number behind you will turn purple instead of gray like it was before. That's the gray number for when you do it correctly, and that is the purple number for when you input it incorrectly. All the purple number really represents is that you messed up your combo timing and your opponent had a chance to do something in the middle of your attacks. When a combo is chained together, your opponent cannot do anything while you are attacking them, outside of very specific tools that are in this game, but we will cover those at a later point. The last bit of information we're going to cover in this beginner tutorial is defense. Defense can be performed in this game by what we call blocking. There are two versions of block in this game, a high block and a low block, which can be performed by holding back, or 4 for the high block, and then 1, or down back, for the low block. There are some things that can go through block, but we will cover that after we show you what each block is good for. The first block you will see performed is called high block. High block is done by holding 4 or back on your controller. It protects you from all attacks that hit you in the head or the mid area, and that will make sense later on as we get into other tutorials. You can also perform this by constantly holding back. I know in the videos I just pushed it when he came up to me, but you can constantly walk backwards and be blocking. The next block I'm going to show you is low block. Low block protects you from all attacks that hit you in the field. Low block is performed by holding down and back, or 1 if we're going by Numpad Notation. As you can see, Kai is attempting to hit me with low attacks, and so is blocking them because I'm holding down back. However, if you try to high block these attacks, you will get hit, which is where low block becomes important. With that information, it's important to note that you can't only high block or only low block. Your opponent will pick up on your patterns and mix it up to try and get a hit on you. There are other ways your opponent can attack you while you're low blocking. If you are low blocking, your opponent can hit you with what's called an overhead attack. An overhead attack, as it sounds, hits you over the head. So let's show some of those off. As you can see, Kai is jumping in the air and doing a swing, which is hitting me, or he can do dust attack, or R1, to hit me with an overhead attack. Lastly, there is one other way to defeat blocking opponents in this game, and that is with throw. As you can see, I'm blocking Kai's attacks, and he will do a run-up and throw. Throw beats both high and low block, so you have to be careful of this if you are on the defensive. The main way to avoid a throw in this game is when you think your opponent's going to go for it, jump. Jump will protect you from most throws. With that, the main thing to take away from this tutorial is Numpad Notation and how to defeat your opponent in general. The main thing you should be practicing with this information is how to chain attacks and your command normals as a whole, as well as just kind of getting comfortable with the game in general. It takes a long time to get used to all the movement, so it helps to be comfortable with what you're doing and understand how to move around the screen and what you're going for in general. And with that, Your boy Panda's peacing out. If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to leave a like, comment down below, let me know what I can improve on or what you might want advice on. And until the next one, Panda's peacing out. Later.